What kind of considerations do you do for your own nutrition and like your
For my
competition
own
training?
for my own
Yeah.
nutrition. For the most part, and kind of what I do is what I recommend to everyone else too, if they have everything in check, like the meals, the hunger signals, and the cravings and all that. Make sure you eat enough protein because that's going to be the biggest contributor to recovery. So I personally aim for, the typical 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that's if I eat 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal and plus some high protein snacks, that usually does it for me. I'm not that big, so it's not too hard. Um, and then in terms of like carbs and fats, so powerlifting, super glycogen or yeah, glucose heavy sport. I'm going to want to be eating more carbohydrates. So, I just try to get carbs and I don't necessarily track. But, in the
Mm.
past I have tracked. So I kind of can now eyeball and see like, oh, this is about XYZ grams of carbs. And I make sure I get, at least that much per meal. So I know I'm getting like roughly like at least this amount of carbs per day. And I can feel it too. Like if you've been training for long enough and doing it for long enough, you'll be able to tell like, oh, I'm low on carbs either from the day before or today. My lifts aren't moving as snappy. My muscles don't feel as full. So the more you experienced you are, the more you can kind of correlate those as well and kind of adjust as needed, right? Um, Nutrition, like at competition, is going to look a little bit different. You don't really want the protein sitting in your stomach or the fat
Mm.
sitting in your stomach when you're trying to be lifting as heavy as possible for 1 rep, because again, very glucose dependent energy systems you're working with. Um, and there's also the factor of weigh-ins and making weight and possibly being dehydrated. USAPL has a 2-hour weigh-in, so you weigh in 2 hours before you lift. So that's not a lot of time to like refuel and rehydrate. So if you're doing a big weight cut, that could be really detrimental to you. So there's going to be different considerations for that too. Getting your electrolytes in, getting your carbohydrates in, getting your liquids in before you lift, and then making sure you're figuring out where is the best time to have your meal. You don't want a sandwich before you deadlift. You might throw up all over the head judge when all that, intra-abdominal pressure comes in, right? So it's just going to be a little different animal on meet day in terms of like nutrition considerations. But for the most part, like day-to-day stuff is going to be very simple.
Yeah.